is Writers Write Wednesday, and I know that we were going to go over haiku poems, but this is a time that I actually want us to think about reflecting a little bit, especially with it being the end of the year. So I don't want there to be a lot of pressure to write at this time because there are things that I want us to think about and write about. Writing about writer's block, writing about, the reasons why we don't want to write, or we don't feel like writing, or we don't feel like coming up with creativity. And also writing about strategies. A lot of things that, you always hear people talk about. I have New Year's resolutions, I have goals, I have all of these things, but they never talk about what they plan to do to get there. So, those are the things that I want us to kind of reflect on for Writers Write Wednesday. I know that normally um, I do want it to be a space where we do actually write, because that's a part and a great deal of who I am and why I do this and talk about things here on Book Dessert. But I think with it being the end of the year and kind of wrapping up things, we need to reflect on that. So, why we have writer's block, what are the reasons? Like, it could be tired, too busy, resources and all that stuff. And what are ways that we can combat that by using what we have and everything we have, from our creative minds to any resource that we have, like what I taught in the past Writers Write Wednesday, and then the strategies in order to see those things come to life, your creativity. Today's dessert of the day, though, that I want to talk about here. So, today's Writer Write Wednesday is just going to be based on reflection on what we plan to write about, so that when we get to that point, it will get there. So, we'll end with that. But this book is called, by the number one New York Times bestselling author, Harlan Coben, and it's called Don't Let Go. And let's see. And I think this book was really interesting. It kind of goes through a reflection through the eyes of this guy who lost his brother, and his brother lost his friends, and he was kind of a part of that world. So he was friends with his brother, and he was friends with all these different friends, and it goes through kind of the mystery of how everyone just out of nowhere was starting to disappear, pass away, or they had all these different struggles. And then it was just in connection with the death of someone. Well, there was many deaths, but one of the things mainly was leading up to one particular one. And I don't want to give a lot of the book away, but I would say this is a really good book for mystery, lifelong love. It talks about them also, not only are they struggling with and learning how to deal with the death of their brother, but they're also learning and struggling on how to deal with the death of a relationship, or a relationship that they hold so dear and deep into their heart, and wondering whether or not that it will be revived. So it goes through this journey. So what I do like about this book, kind of like what I was explaining in the last video, is that it did have a wonderful flow of, it kind of talked about past things, and then it talked about present things that brought you back, and how it tied into how all of these outcomes came about. It has, some villains in here where, they're kind of like gangster in a way, or like forbidden military. It's all the mystery and excitement of figuring out, how is he going to crack this case? How is he going to, he's such a good officer on how he figures out the mystery of how all of these tragedies happen in this story. So I would say that Don't Let Go is a really good kind of mystery book to figure out how it gets to. I think it's the kind of book that could, it would be a good second read if you wanted it to be, but because I love stories with great plot lines. When I first picked it up, because the books that I've been getting is actually randomly coming off of the bookshelf that I had growing up. It's like we have all these different books that when I was younger or when I got to a certain point where I was reading more chapter books, I didn't really take the time to read. It was like, okay, cool, some more books on the shelf randomly, and we were either given to us by friends or family members, or maybe there's some of my older sister's books and maybe some of my younger sister's books, and so it's just a mix, and then a mix of my own books that I had coming up, as well as because we even have like old children's books and things. So I've just been on this journey, really. I didn't every book that I'm introducing, I didn't like put on. I didn't buy. They're literally books that we have on our shelf because we literally have a whole wall that's a shelf, and it has like all these books, school books, college books, like old encyclopedias. Now where we have Google, like I was like the end of the generation of encyclopedias. I found like a thesaurus that I want to go through, and maybe have a word of the day, which can also help with Writers Write Wednesday, because when you can find the right words to describe what you're feeling, how you're feeling, and the topic that we talk about, then we can actually write about it together, or I can come on here and show it and write it again. So I just wanted to briefly share this book. I would say it's a good read, and it just has a lot of mystery, a little bit of I wouldn't necessarily call it drama per se, but like just a lot of mystery, a lot of unanswered questions that slowly begin to come to light. And then it has a hint of romance, but it didn't overtake the story and the ultimate goal of kind of figuring out how all these people passed away and how all of their deaths tie in together, coming to the result, and also the beauty of learning at some point how to let go of what you thought you needed so much to hold on to and figure out, and embracing a new way of thinking and a new way of life, and just kind of being proud of the journey of figuring out and not really losing focus on it was amazing how, in spite of all of the things that the officer had going on in his head, that he was able to still come back to focus and do his job as a cop as well. And so while still dealing with his own struggles and his own family and past friendships and relationship type things, it's a good read. So it's kind of a non-Writers Write Wednesday, but do reflect on those things that I talked about earlier, and this is definitely a good read. And as far as novels go and a story, I would definitely read this again. Have a wonderful, wonderful Writers Write Wednesday. Hey, and if I'm not writing, that doesn't mean that you don't write. You write. You write about whatever it is, whatever is important to you. And journaling is like the ultimate writing of all writing. That's like one of the other earlier things that I learned to do when I was younger. So just get out there and write. You don't have to wait on me to have a particular topic. Just write.